friends, Shay here. So today I am here to talk about books that I love that I really don't talk about a lot. A lot of these are going to be more literary fiction or classics that I read early on with my channel, but I haven't talked about in a very long time. So I am very excited to be sharing these with you today. So let's start off with one of my all-time favorite books of any time, and that is The Remains of the Day by Kazuo Ishiguro. This is a book that I read very early in my YouTube career, and it has just stayed with me and not left me. This was a recommendation I got from my husband. And in this book, we're following a older butler who is basically reaching retirement age, and he's driving across the country to have lunch with the love of his life. In that, he's reflecting back on his life because his boss, his master, was sympathetic to the Nazis. So he has this existential crisis of, was I also sympathetic to the Nazis, or was I just following orders? And you see him go through this existential crisis of his life and kind of recounting things as he goes and meeting the love of his life through his job and things like that. This one doesn't necessarily have the happiest of endings, but I really enjoyed and loved this book all the way through. It is a beautiful masterpiece. I actually recently acquired a copy from Book of the Month because they had that as one of their options for an add-on. So I decided to grab it so that I had a nicer copy because the one I had read was an older paperback copy of my husband's. So it's nice to have a nice copy for my collection. The next one here is my favorite work of Jane Austen, and that is Persuasion. Persuasion is by far and away my favorite Austen work. And that is an unpopular opinion. Most people love Pride and Prejudice. I do not so much. I have another one on this list that tops Pride and Prejudice for me in that style of a story. But in Persuasion, this is a second chance romance that has one of the most beautiful letters ever written in fiction, in my opinion, written to the heroine from our hero. Essentially, he was a poor man, and even though she loved him, they couldn't be together because of her familial expectations. Years later, they get reacquainted. She is still single, he is still single, and there is feelings that abode and run around, and it's absolutely amazing. I have loved almost every depiction of this in cinema. Obviously, the most recent one from Netflix is garbage. Do not watch it. Do not waste your time. There are plenty of other beautiful adaptations of Persuasion. And yes, I absolutely love everything about this and would definitely recommend reading it. My friend Izzy over at Happy For Now recently did the full cast audio experience of it and really enjoyed it. So if you're more of that kind of a reader, it might be an excellent way to consume the story. The next one is the one that I was alluding to before, and that is North and South by Elizabeth Gaskell. Now, this is the Pride and Persuasion of my heart. This is the same kind of story. It's set more in the industrial era, so it's a little bit later. And we have a feisty heroine who is not afraid to stick it to anybody she feels. She is educated. Her father was a member of the clergy and started to question his faith. And so they relocated north from their beautiful country abode in the South. And through the people they meet there, she ends up meeting this man who runs a cotton mill, essentially. And so you see the ups and downs of him owning and running that and profiting from it, and how he is drawn to this magnetic woman who thinks he's awful because of their first interaction. And the grovel that this man goes through is amazing. The BBC adaptation with Richard Armitage is the best thing ever. If you're not interested in reading it, please at least go watch that because it is brilliant. It is amazing. Richard Armitage stole my heart in that moment, and I will forever be attached to North and South way more than Pride and Prejudice anytime. The next one is a fantasy that I haven't talked about in a very long time, and that is Uprooted by Naomi Novik. Now, this one has strong elements of Beauty and the Beast, but essentially this 17-year-old girl is kind of on the auction block for a man called the Dragon to come and choose his companion of the next 10 years. And she thinks it's going to be her beautiful best friend, but she is the one chosen, and she becomes his apprentice in magic. It is absolutely beautiful, absolutely stunning. The way the romantic relationship develops is very slow burn, so if you're not into slow burn, don't go there for the romance, but the magic is absolutely beautiful. It's nature-based magic. There is a magical woods, and it's amazing. I love everything about this. Again, it's one I don't talk about a lot. I should honestly reread it because it's been so long, but it lives pretty rent-free in my head, so I'm not too worried. But anyways, if you have not tried Uprooted yet, I would definitely recommend checking that one out. The next one is Poison Study by Maria V. Snyder. Now, this is one I constantly am rereading on audio just because I enjoy the series so much. This series greatly inspired things like Throne of Glass and the way Sarah J. Maas writes her stories. So if you like her writing, checking out Maria V. Snyder would definitely be a good idea. I've checked out multiple of her series and have enjoyed them all. And I would love to see something new from her soon. But Maria V. Snyder is amazing. I absolutely love and adore it and would definitely recommend checking out the Poison Study universe if you haven't yet. The next one here is a literary fiction written in translation, and that is Almond by Wong Pyung Song. Wong Pyung Song. This one was a recommendation I got from BTS. I'm not gonna lie. That's where I heard about this book for the first time. And then I actually read it. So we have a child that is autistically coded. I don't think it's actually said on page. I don't remember. Who is struggling because he doesn't feel emotions. And his family just kind of doesn't know what to do with it. They do their best in raising him. And my battery's gonna die. So I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. So we were talking about Almond by Wong Pyung Song, and in this one, it's about him making a friend and how things change throughout the course of that friendship. Again, this is one that I don't want to say too much about because I feel like it will ruin the experience. I went in knowing pretty much nothing about this other than what I've kind of told you, and honestly, it was a beautiful reading experience. I actually read this when I went down to Vegas to see the Permission to Dance performances in Vegas, and I have zero regrets. It was absolutely fantastic, and I would highly recommend it. The next one I have here is The Wish Collector by Mia Sheridan. Now, when it comes to Mia Sheridan, people usually think of Archer's Voice, but this one is a very, like, Beauty and the Beast, almost Phantom of the Opera kind of feel. Not the toxicity of Phantom of the Opera, but him hiding himself and things like that. So this is absolutely stunning. We have a ballerina and we have our grumpy hero hiding behind a wall, and they end up striking up conversations with each other. And this beautiful friendship develops into romantic feelings, and it is absolutely stunning. I really want someone to pick this up. I mean, I have my physical copy and I would highly recommend picking it up. But yes, this is one that I picked up on a whim just because I like Mia Sheridan and I have zero regrets. It's so, so good. The next one I have on this list is The Last Unicorn by Peter S. Beagle. Now, The Last Unicorn is something that I read as an adult, but I watched the animated movie as a child. My dad was a big fan of the band that did all the music for The Last Unicorn, so we tended to watch it quite a bit. This is a story about a unicorn who can take a human shape, and kind of her adventures in life. And that's all I'm going to say. I don't want to spoil this. Again, a lot of people already know about it because of the movie, so I don't want to say too much more here. But honestly, The Last Unicorn is brilliant. I love everything about it. Peter S. Beagle's writing is absolutely fantastic. I technically have the other book set in that universe that I'm hoping to read soon. And yes, very, very excited. The next one is another one that I haven't talked about in a very long time. Again, this is a literary fiction with a little bit of a sci-fi twist to it, and that is going to be Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel. Now, this is a pandemic/end of the world kind of story in which we're following a theater troupe, a Shakespeare theater troupe, as they travel across the country dealing with the aftermath of a pandemic, essentially. It is a brilliant story. I do think in the time it was written, people wouldn't understand it as well as they would now, having lived through a pandemic. I've been meaning to reread it ever since, like in the last year, just because I haven't. I do intend to reread it soon, though, and I really think it's a beautifully brilliant story. Emily St. John Mandel's writing is a thing of beauty, in my opinion, and I would definitely recommend picking this one up. The last one I have on this list, again, kind of deals with an autistically coded person, which surprises me, and that is The Housekeeper and the Professor. So this housekeeper seems a little autistically coded, as does the professor, but essentially it's this woman who's hired as a live-in maid for this professor. She brings along her son when she can. Like, it's a live-in position, but she doesn't actually live there. And it slowly becomes them having a relationship. It's absolutely beautiful. It's a very short work translated from Japanese, and I think it's worth it. Like, this is one that you can, like, I just randomly found it at my Barnes & Noble and decided to try it. And it was beautiful and stunning. So if you're looking for works in translation, that is one I would definitely recommend picking up. Same with Almond. If you guys want a translated books, like not light novels, but actual novels recommendation video, let me know in the comments down below, because it'll give me an excuse to pick up more of the ones that I have in translation. Anyways, that is everything for today. Thank you so much for checking out this video. If you're here just because you love me, leave me a rose emoji down below, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.
It's been raining for days now, been running like a child. Can't feel the cold, well I'm lost here with you, lost in the woods. Lost as I should.